I now move to Her Excellency Ms. Nosiviwe Noluthando Mapisa-Nqakula, Speaker of the National Assembly of South Africa.
I thank you, Your Excellency, Honorable Bira, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, Your Excellency, the President of the IPU, Honorable Pacheco, the Honorable Amita Kant, Sherpa of India's G20 Presidency and moderator of the session, Honorable Speakers of National Assembly, Honorable Members of Parliament present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to start by thanking and congratulate India for successfully hosting the G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit. It does this at a very critical time when the world has enormous challenges. Your Excellencies, it will be remiss of me to make my input on the topic without touching upon the unfortunate ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine's Gaza Strip. We note with deep sadness and pain the escalation of the conflict that is going on in that part of the world. This conflict has sadly resulted in the loss of innocent lives from both sides, in particular women and children. Your Excellencies, the conflict between Palestine and Israel, which has been going on for decades, should be understood in its historical context. We call upon the international community to assist the two countries in finding a lasting solution to the conflict instead of taking sides which lead to further escalation. There is no winner in a war situation, as we all suffer losses and casualties. The Republic of South Africa confirms its full support for the two-state solution, which will ensure that the state of Israel and Palestine live side by side peacefully as sister countries. Your Excellencies, the topic we are discussing today is of seminal importance. It is a matter of life and death, as it calls upon all of us to modify our lifestyles in whatever we do to protect and save the environment, which is our source of life. It reminds us that in all our actions, whether they are in pursuit of development and economic interest, we must do so in such a manner that we don't cause more harm to the environment. Your Excellencies, lifestyle environment is a matter of life and death because our lifestyle is a major cause and contributor to environmental degradation, which plays a major role in our inabilities to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals as adopted by the UN in 2015. By its own definition, sustainable development is development which meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It is evident from the above definition that the international community was cognizant of the fact that in whatever action it takes in quest for developmental goals and economic prosperity, it should be done in an action that should look at long-term and sustainable benefits instead of a short-term and unsustainable development. Sustainable living means understanding how our lifestyle choices impact the world around us and finding ways for everyone to live better and lighter. Sustainable living and lifestyles appeared for the first time in the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is quality education, and Goal 12, which is responsible consumption and production. The need and objective to pursue sustainable living and lifestyle environment cannot be achieved by governments and parliaments alone. acting in isolation without the participation and involvement of communities and citizens. In this regard, governments have a huge obligation to bring along communities and citizens at large through consistent educational programs and effective public awareness campaigns about the importance of living a lifestyle that will protect and safeguard our environment for sustainable living. We also need to partner with civil society organizations in order to achieve this. In rural areas, we need to work closely with community leaders such as traditional leadership, religious leadership, and formations to educate our communities about the importance of lifestyle environment. The effects of global warming, climate change are a danger to all of us, and this is what our people need to understand. Your Excellencies, another important intervention is not the most important, if not the most important intervention that we must embark upon, is to ensure food security for the developing countries and vulnerable. Food security is a matter of life and death in the developing countries and the downtrodden. Whatever interventions that we put forward in quest of lifestyle environment will never make sense to the poorest of the poor who are in perpetual struggle to get food to survive if we don't make their lives better. The poorest of the poor have no luxury to make food choices and to pursue a lifestyle that will save the environment. Their goal is to get whatever they can in order to survive that particular day. For them, the issue of lifestyle environment is far from realities and daily survival struggles they are confronted with. On the basis of the above, I wish to submit that our quest for lifestyle environment cannot succeed unless we put intervention measures to assist the poorest of the poor in the developing world. Your Excellencies, one of the major contributors to environmental degradation is the use of fossil fuels instead of using renewable energy. However, change from fossil fuels to renewable energy is out of reach for developing nations. In this regard, the above-mentioned change can only be achievable for developing nations through support by the developed countries. In the same wavelength, the mode of transport that many developing worlds use also contributes immensely to the emissions. There's been suggestion that the solution to this challenge is to use electric cars and non-motorized cars. This is another tall order for the developing nations. Many developing countries do not have sufficient electricity to cater for daily needs, let alone financial muscle to purchase or manufacture those electric cars. In addition to the above, non-motorized cars might not be able to access and reach deep underdeveloped rural areas. In this instance, in order to change, the developing nations will need the sustainable financial support from those of us who are developed nations. Excellencies, the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals is interlinked to our commitment to lifestyle environment. However, our commitment and practical change to lifestyle environment cannot be attainable without adequate financial support to the developing world. I thank you.